Welcome everyone, and thanks for joining me for another Lok Style Tai Chi and Qi Gong class. Let's take right hand in a fist, please, and left hand straight. Tuck back that thumb with feet together, hands together, and we salute. Excellent. Okay, let's open our stance, and we'll just give ourselves a little bit of a gentle wake up by going into the four corners of the hips. This is such a practiced warm-up move for me that I don't even think about it. If I think, okay, I'll do some Tai Chi, I do this first. So it's not even a formal warm-up, though it is a formal warm-up exercise. I just do it because it helps. It just gets everything nice and limber a little bit. It just wakes up the body, especially first thing in the morning. We don't need to jump straight into anything very complex. Just easing in, noticing how the body responds. Good. And let's change direction. I'm keeping warm here as best I can as fuel prices rocket. Breathe and relax. Slide over a wee minute. I have plans to put a radiator cover on the radiator back there, just to make a more plain background. But I've been planning that for about 6 years, so it's not happened yet. But at least we have a relatively plain background that we can ignore while we focus on what we're doing. Very good. Okay, so let's do another wee exercise, similar but different to the first, where we're feeding into the four corners but remaining upright in our stance. I'm sorry, I'm just going to zip up here because my jumper's determined to twist. There we go. Okay, so hopefully that's clear. So we're staying upright and gently moving into the four corners. These are Chen Wang's first few movements of warm-up. It's Chen style. And you may think, well, I'm here to study Master Lok's stuff. Well, Master Lok really reveres Chen style and practices it as well. So, anytime you want to dip into Chen style for inspiration or just a little bit of Tai Chi practice, it works very well with Master Lok's style. Though they're two different entities, they're all Tai Chi. And Chen style really is the grandfather, if you like, the seed that all Tai Chi has come from. At least according to my lineage, that's the understanding. Let's change direction. Though there are different origin stories about Tai Chi. Our one is more historically accurate, we could say, and less just sort of romantic. You may have heard of the origin story of a monk sat watching a crane and a snake fighting, both very light, insubstantial animals, but with a great deal of power. And the idea was that the monk was inspired by their movements, and the movements and the practice of Tai Chi just spontaneously came into his head from this inspiration, which is romantic, to say the least. It sounds like a nice wee fairy story, and maybe there was a monk that was inspired by nature in this way. But the origin story of Chen style is more plausible. I don't want to belittle any origin story. Okay, let's come back into center, please. So the Chen style origin story was that there was a very good martial artist who was the general in an army. Let's link the fingers together and we'll do a wee bit of rolling the wrists as well. So this is between the Ming and the Qing dynasties, the last two dynasties of the Chinese Empire. Let's change direction. And he was successful in his military career and got to retire, which says a lot because, you know, if you're not successful, you die when you're in the military. So he returned to his hometown, or rather settled in an area, shake out please, called Yangjiaogou. And he had his family there. And he was so prolific in his status and revered for his martial arts that they renamed the place Chenjiaogou, which is now understood to be the birthplace of what we now know as Tai Chi. Let's change direction, please. So I'm always scared to say his name wrong. I think it was Chen Bu. He took his martial arts and his extensive knowledge of Chinese traditional medicine and just basically slowed his martial arts down and blended it with this knowledge of medicine. And there you have Tai Chi. So it wasn't so much just sort of spontaneous inspiration, but actual well-honed knowledge that was just tweaked and repackaged into what we now know as Chen style Tai Chi. And from that, all other styles of Tai Chi have been inspired. And the other styles continue. People who study the other styles continue to return back to Chenjiaogou village and to study with the Chen family to learn deeper and have more insight into what Tai Chi is all about, to polish their skills, we should say. Change direction, please. So you might ask, well, what are the different styles of Tai Chi? What's that all about? Well, you can think of different families, basically. And just like a family tree, each branch has their own personality. But a family has the same bloodline. Well, you could say that it's not exactly that they have the same bloodline, but in essence, Tai Chi is the same no matter what style it is. But you can definitely see personalities. Let's take one at a time, shoulders, please. So Chen style is a big frame of Tai Chi, as is Yang style. And do you remember I said Yang Jiaogou turned into Chen Jiaogou? So a gentleman called Yang living in Chenjiaogou infiltrated the Chen family pretending to be disabled, mentally disabled, and he begged outside the door of the Chen family for a good while, and eventually they just took pity on him and took him in and gave him menial tasks and looked after him. But he spied on them. He watched them training, and because they thought he was not quite with it, they didn't hide their skills, they didn't hide their secrets, and just practiced openly in front of him. And once his menial jobs were done of the day, he went back to his little cell that he was given, his little room, and he practiced like Billy. And this went on for years until finally he was discovered. And they could have killed him, and you know, they would have had a right to have killed him because he came into the household under false pretenses and spied on them and stole their knowledge. But they said, okay, show us what you've got then, show us how you've been doing your Tai Chi. And they were so impressed by how good he was that instead of killing him, they brought him into the fold and he became the first outsider of the family to do Chen style Tai Chi. And eventually, after many more years of training with them, he went off to Beijing to seek his fortune and he created Yang style. So he took his knowledge of Chen style and he tweaked it and changed it. And so the different styles grew in that way. So let's take a deep breath and lift. And breathing out, let go. And again, deep breath in. Keep the head up if you can, breathe out. Let go one more time, deep breath in. And good, okay. So there you have it, a little bit of Tai Chi history. I'm useless at names and dates, so apologies for that. But that's the story as I understand it. As I say, there are different origin stories. as far as I understand, actually Tai Chi seemed to kind of bubble up in China all over the place, almost simultaneously, as sometimes these things do. It just seems to be that the time is ripe and all the ingredients are there, and all of a sudden people start to generate stuff. So Tai Chi came about through the Chen family, but actually Taoist practice and Qi Gong had been in China for thousands of years. So yeah, so it's a case of they had all the ingredients and the time was right. Okay, let us do the first three movements of the seven star and then we will get into our Phoenix and our Immortals form. So let's lengthen up, please, through the top of the head, the chin slightly down and back. We check our posture. Give yourself a moment to arrive and calm. Let's find all 10 fingers and gently lengthen them down. Calming down. Listening behind. And let's begin with open door 5. Movement 2, Tai Chi duality. We begin our circles. Change direction. Turn to face in. Change direction. Beautiful. Let's come back to center for movement 3. Remember, try not to bend your head. Yes, very good. I can see you're doing it very well. Check posture. Relax to center. And again. Last time. Checking posture. Release, relax down into your belly. Beautiful. Well done. Relax and close. Good. So we can do a little heel tap. If you want, you can have a little stretch, have a little move around, see if anything needs any more work. I don't know about you, but I was like castanets there. Everything was clicking like mad. So yeah, this climate of constant wet, not great for the damp in the human body. So that damp creates arthritic type stuff. I'm sure you've heard of this. It's not even an old wives' tale, but just an understanding that rheumatism seems to get worse when it's damp. And it's so true. So yeah, it's something that I've been battling myself. I don't know if you have as well. Certainly having hot food and hot drink only, exclusively, just try to avoid cold food and drink at all costs. It can definitely take the edge off that arthritis. And also there is a funny trick with eggs that you might be interested in. I'm not sure if I've mentioned it. It's a Taoist practice that you boil an egg, hard boil an egg, leave the shell on, try to make sure it doesn't break, the shell doesn't break. And when it's cool enough that you can actually handle it, you take it and you roll it directly against your flesh, anywhere where you're experiencing inflammation, edema, arthritic stuff. You just roll the egg and you just keep rolling it, use it like a massage tool. And it is actually very soothing. It's a very nice feel. And you just keep rolling basically until the egg has cooled completely. and then you compost the egg or you bury it. And that was the advice that was given. You bury it quite deep, so that no animal and no person eats it. And the idea why you bury it and don't eat it is because the egg has a semi-porous shell and it's absorbing the damp, the stagnant energy from your system into the egg. So you could consider it then it has bad energy. It has absorbed the bad energy, the stagnant energy from your body. So the last thing you want to do then is eat it or give it to an animal, because then they would be consuming that same stagnant damp that you've just removed from yourself. And whether you believe in the Taoist concept of that or not, doesn't matter. It seems to work. I've tried it and it is a very pleasant little therapy and does seem to relieve aches and pains and joints when they're not too happy. So I'll leave that one with you. You can do it if you like. I would use an ethically sourced egg just to be, nice. So not a battery egg, but free range. So there you go. That's a little bit of trivia, a wee bit of thought to mull over, to give you a chance to rest. And now let's do our Phoenix form. So we're going to do both sides. A thumbs up if you're happy for me to do back view. Yeah, yeah, okay. So we're going to do both sides, and we might, yeah, just finish the first side, close it, and start the second. It's really lovely to continue on from the first side onto the second side. Um, but you probably don't have enough room. And I did do a choreography where we can move back, but it sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. So yeah, if we step one step too far, it all gets a bit complex. So we'll just finish first side, start second side. Okay, let's get started then. Right there. Okay, so we lengthen up, please. Chin slightly down and back, and release, relax, down. Calming down. Lengthen the fingers down. Listen behind. Ready, start. Good. And if you need to adjust where you're standing, do it now. And we'll go again on the second side. Ready, start. Left hand in fist. Good. How'd you get on? Okay. Oh, good. I like thumbs up. Excellent. The question is, folks, would you like to do it again? And if so, would you like to do front view mirrored? So that you can see any little nuances. Yes, I thought so. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Happy days. All right. So we will do the same thing again for you. You're just doing exactly the same. I'm going to do the mirror version. So I'm doing the same thing, but the second side first. And let's see if we can get those palm positions. Don't worry if you make mistakes. I'm even saying this to myself, it's really important. Even, if you are a teacher, obviously you want to get it right. But if you're so concerned about getting things right, that you get all nervous and stressed, then you're not really doing Tai Chi, because Tai Chi is all about flow. It's about letting go into the nature of things. So we want to keep our good posture. We want to do our best to get the best outcome, but our mental, or rather emotional state should be one of, I really don't care. And it's not that you don't care, but it's this letting go of worry and stress and all the things that actually mentally put the brakes on for your energy to flow. So when you're in a state of joie de vivre and just enjoying life, that's when energy is going to flow at its best. And I'm saying this because I am not that personality type. I care about everything, and it gets me very kind of tight emotionally and mentally. And it's something that I'm continuing to work on. I think that's the hardest part of Tai Chi for me. It's not the physical stuff at all. It's letting go of caring too much. But it is important because it's the yin to the yang. We want to do our best possible physically, but we also want to have an absolute carefree attitude. And the two combined give us real balance and power. Whereas if we care too much, then we actually restrict our energy, and therefore, even though we may be placing our positions well, will not get the best outcome. So we could go too far the other way and not care so much that actually our physical placement suffers as well. So it's striking the balance. It's a fine double-edged sword. We want to do our absolute best and not care one little bit if we make mistakes. Just keep going as best we can. Okay, are we ready? Heels together, toes a little bit apart. We lengthen up through the top of the head. We release and relax down through the body and calm down. Let's lengthen the fingers gently down. Phoenix in graceful clouds of blessing, first side. Ready? And right hand and fist. Ride the donkey. Right hand and fist. Left hand and fist. Left hand and fist. Right hand and fist. close right. This funny little anomaly in the Phoenix that the first side we close right. Very good. Let's go again on the second side. Check posture. Relax. Listen behind. Phoenix and graceful clouds of blessing, second side. Here we go. Left hand under. Right hand and fist. Chase the fist. Left hand and fist. Chase the fist. And we close left the second time. Very good. And rest. Good job. Easing from your stance, you can rub your kidneys. Just give yourself a bit of rest time. Good. Okay, come talk to me. Let's see if there's any questions or comments, and then we'll move on to our Immortals. Gosh, these chairs are heavy. Yes. Okay, how did you get on? Elaine, yeah, you just have to unmute yourself. Yeah, I know it's tricky, isn't it? There, Tony unmuted. Yes, go ahead, Tony.
The reason I was sort of asking it was for some bizarre reason, even after doing it for so long,
Mm,
first four moves of the Phoenix, I got confused. And I don't
okay.
know why. And then I think I got it back again. That's why I wanted to double check that I was doing it right, but
Mhm.
just one of the bits I was missing and I was skipping over it, and I couldn't understand why.
Okay. Do you have it now?
Yeah, yeah. So once it
Mhm.
was the two times you did it there, yes, I understood where it was just a turn that I was missing.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
was doing something on this side, in this side, instead of moving over to here and then moving back again.
Yeah.
So
Well, there could be a number of reasons, Tony. One is that we are doing multiple forms. We're working on multiple forms, so our body memory in that way can become a bit confused. Also, doing that, we're now working on the mirror side. Again, it's easy for things to get confused. But apart from all of that, I've noticed it. I've been trying to learn a piece on the piano. Now, I don't play. I'm not, I do, well, this one piece I've been working on, but I never learned to read music. I'm not particularly musical. I'm a dancer, so I know how to move to the music, but creating music is new for me. But it has been an excellent practice, and I would recommend it for anyone teaching to try and learn something that's completely outside of their ballpark because it reminds you what it is to start from the beginning. And I know you're not starting from the beginning, but like when Master Lok started working with Willem and I, we had been doing Tai Chi for a good 20, 25 years, probably 20 years by that stage. And he was saying, look, it's okay, you're doing really well for beginners. And Willem and I looked at each other and like, beginners? We've been doing this for 20 years. We've been teaching it for a long time. And yet he's calling us beginners. And then, the wheels turned and we went, but actually, we are beginners to him. We're only starting to learn his style of Tai Chi. And even within that, we may have been chipping away at it, but we have not had the resources that the Chinese have, that they have their masters on their doorsteps. Okay, I studied in-house with a master for 9 years, so I did all his classes, but in general, it's much harder for international students and teachers to have that sheer accessibility to the masters on that daily basis that a lot of Chinese people have. So it was fair enough. But I've noticed with this piece that I'm learning on the piano, I've nearly finished it. Like, imagine that you've nearly finished a form for the first time. It's got loads to work on. But actually, I find that the beginning I've been practicing all along. I'm like, yeah, yeah, that's fine. But I'm working on the end of this piece and it's challenging and difficult. And then when I go back to the beginning of the piece, almost every single time I hit a wrong note at the very beginning, and I've been working at it from scratch and doing it a lot, a lot, a lot. But when you're bending your mind to one aspect, to a new aspect, you're kind of unplugging your brain to create space for something new, something um, uncharted. So you're creating this openness to newness that does not necessarily sit well with the beaten path that you're trying to go back and revise stuff that you know well. That the openness and the ability to learn and create new connections can actually, in a way, weaken the the beaten path aspect because you're kind of unplugging all your connections in order to mold yourself to a new way of being. So I've noticed this, and it is ongoing, that I have to keep going back and beating the path again. It's again in my mind, I'm thinking it's kind of like making a sword. You have to heat it and then you have to beat it. And every time you heat it, you could beat it out of shape. You could actually destroy what you've worked so hard to put together unless you re-establish the the protocols that you have put in place. So learning Tai Chi is very interesting because you cannot rely 100% on body memory because you're actually continuously unlocking your system to learn more. That makes you malleable, and that makes us, unfortunately, easily able to forget or to get lost in places where we should be absolutely certain. And I've even seen it with masters. You know, I've seen it, my grandmaster, we have two forms that are very, very similar. One is a long form and one is a short form. And there are places where they diverge. And I have seen my grandmaster on more than one occasion going down the wrong trouser leg, you know, and going into the wrong form. And we've all done it, but it's actually very reassuring to see a grandmaster doing it because its body memory is fantastic and it's what we're relying on forming as we practice, practice, practice. It's in order to create body memory, but sometimes then that body memory kind of betrays us because we're not keeping our awareness with what we're doing, and therefore we can get a bit lost. That the body might be remembering some other aspect of our training. So it's perfectly normal what you've just described. You just described my piano learning experience to a T. That's what happens. So stuff that you've been doing for years and years and you should know really well can all of a sudden go. I've seen it even with my mum. She uses a sewing machine and she made clothes for me my whole life. And one day she sat down recently to thread the sewing machine, and you have to put the thread in this complex little zigzag thing before you thread it. And she sat there and she couldn't work out how to thread the sewing machine. And she thought, flip, have I got Alzheimer's or something? Why can't I do this? But it's just, it happens to the best of us. It happens at any stage in your career, you could have that kind of hiccup. And the funny thing is, if you left it and came back to it another day, you'd be fine. But it's just we get these hiccups. So is that making any sense?
Yeah, it's also as you get older when something like that happens, it's always the back of your mind lurking dementia.
I
It's
know,
all,
yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I'm getting it as well. I'm getting those senior moments, and it can be very frightening. Um, and you have to give yourself a bit of grace. The thing is that
yeah,
what we worry about, we actually manifest,
yeah, yeah,
because it's it's more likely to happen if we're just constantly worrying. And that's what I was saying about Tai Chi in general. The best outcome is that we do our best, but we really have a very carefree attitude towards it and don't worry if it's not, if it's not panning out very well or if we make mistakes. But that's just a sort of little microcosm of the attitude that Tai Chi is bringing into us that we can then take out into the rest of the world. Because even if you were, worst case scenario, even if you were experiencing the beginning of dementia, going into a spiral of worry and upset about it could only make it worse. Unfortunately, that does seem to be the way with any illness. When we take ourselves into that very low resonance of worry, we're actually really courting all the bad things to happen. Whereas if we have a buoyant attitude, it doesn't mean we ignore warning signs, but we have a buoyant attitude towards it. We can be proactive. There's things you can do, but it doesn't necessarily mean dementia. Age does, even if you're bright as a button, it will make us have these senior moments anyway. It's just one of
Once I actually switched my brain off and just did muscle memory, then I got it back again.
Exactly, that's it. So, yeah, muscle memory is a double-edged sword. So it's what we want, it's what we need, and we can relax and let it do its thing. If you are doing multiple exercises, as we are now, because we're doing Phoenix on the other side, and we're doing the Immortals, and the Immortals starts the same way, but very quickly does something else. So we have to work on our body memory, but at the same time, keep your awareness with it. So it means that your brain isn't um, fully driving, you're letting your body memory go with, do the work. And you're just sitting like a passenger and you're like a backseat driver basically and say to, okay, now you're going to do this at the next turn, and the next roundabout, you're going to turn right. You don't just let it go on autopilot altogether. But certainly in those moments where the brain is just hitting a block, let your body memory do it and see what
Yeah,
happens, because quite
yeah,
often,
because it's also the two start, one's right hand under, one's left hand under, and then you start to lose your confidence and go, am I am I doing the right? Am I starting even the first move right? And then
mhm.
you just forget, close your eyes, just do, no, that's right. Yeah.
Exactly, yes, yes. So when you're doing both sides, what is very useful, and this is a Grandmaster Chen protocol. He says when you're doing your Wuji, you relax, calm yourself, listen behind, get yourself into that quiet, comfortable state. And then just before you take your first step, visualize it. So make sure you know what form you're doing and what's the first step of the form. So you're visualizing Phoenix on the first side, right hand under, expand, turn, and step. So, and then when you're doing your second side, you relax, you calm, you let go. Think, okay, second side, Phoenix. So that's the opposite of the normal way. So then that's left hand under, expand, turn, and step. And so you're just visualizing it. You're doing a little dress rehearsal in your mind before you actually do the form. And at one stage, for a few years, Grandmaster Chen had us actually visualizing the entire form before we took a single step. And this was a long form, this is 75 steps, but he wanted us to stand and visualize it. And it's easy to get lost because if you're just thinking through it, you don't have a physical body to remind you where you are. You're having to sort of project where your physical body is at each and every stage, which is a fantastic exercise, by the way, folks. If you're, stuck in an aeroplane, for example, or if you're lying in bed, and you're wanting to train, you can do it in your head, and that counts as practice. That is a mental practice, but it paves the way for your physical practice. So if you visualize the movement moments first before you do it, you will do it with confidence and you will do it correctly and you will do it well. Whereas if you stand there and go, flip, I hope I get this right, I'm not sure which side am I doing. No, just wait until you feel, okay, so it's this side, so it's this arm, okay, that's what I'm doing, then it's time to start, then it's a good time. So very good, these are very good questions and very good comments. It happens to all of us, you know, so don't think it is dementia. No, it's not. It's not. But I know what you mean. I was talking about the sewing machine and that business, but it is just sometimes we throw a blank. And again, sometimes I think it comes down to caring too much or trying too much, trying too
Yeah,
hard.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that puts the brakes, it stops the energy from flowing. Elaine, any questions or comments? You need to unmute yourself. You can't unmute yourself. Okay. All right, that's okay. So oh, we're only 5 minutes left. Do you want to have a quick go through the Immortals just for the heck of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Let's have one go through the Immortals. Yeah, good. Okie doke. We'll just do it the one side with this. And again, we want to calm ourselves, prepare, and think through the first move. So this time we scoop the left hand under, and when we rotate, instead of stepping forwards, we push the heel out and step. So that can be your cue. That's enough to visualize that will get us ready to do the right form. Are we ready? Check posture and relax down. Immortals crossing the sea. Begin. Right hand plucks, step to the left. Left hand plucks, turn to the left. Right hand plucks, sit back. Fishing toad. Push the hands out. Step down. So we do the jump. Let's do the jump. Down, down, lift, kick, step, step. Gather. Good. And we close left. Excellent. Well done. Heel tap. Good stuff, folks. So never underestimate the power of rest. If you are stuck at an area in your practice and you're on your own and you're working at it and you're getting snagged and stuck and you're feeling, oh, why isn't this working? I suggest you stop, you go for a walk, you watch some television, you do something else. And then when you feel nice and relaxed and calm, then come back to it. Because we can actually create a kind of what psychologists call an anchor. An anchor is a sort of manifestation of something. So if you get stuck at a certain place and then you get all upset about it, you're creating a possible habit of getting stuck and blank at that point. Whereas if you go, oh, got a bit lost there, never mind, tell you what, I'm going to leave that for a bit and do something else, come back to it, and it has resolved itself. Your subconscious mind will work on it and you don't have to think about it. This is the power of not giving a tiny care. You just don't care. And actually it works out very nicely. I do that when I'm playing the piano. I'll practice and practice and it's going really well. And then at some stage I'm practicing and I get stuck and lost and I'm like, do you know what? Never mind. My brain or some part of me is tired, so I'll just leave it. And when I come back to it again later, it's fine. So the power of not caring is very, very powerful indeed. It doesn't mean that you're not compassionate. You can be compassionate, but let go of the small stuff. This is stuff for your health, for your well-being, for your enjoyment. And if it's just not working out in a particular moment, then maybe the universe is saying, you've done enough for now, give it a rest. And actually, almost always it resolves itself pretty well. And if it doesn't, that's why I'm here. I can help you. And that's why Daisy's here, that our yin yang cat can shed some light on it all for you. So thank you so much for joining me today, folks. Let's finish with a wee bit of 100 ailments go away. We're going to bounce on our heels and let all our wobbly bits go nice and wobbly. Let your bones melt and soften and relax and wobble and relax down and stand. Listen to your body. Listen to that lovely energy bubbling away. Good. Let's gather up our hands to cover center. Hug the elbows in. By the way, Master Lok actually links his thumbs. He does covering center slightly differently, but make sure the very cups of the hands are overlapped. Breathing into your belly. And feel your energy is stronger. Well done. Let's do the Qi Gong salute. So we'll keep the hands covering center. Keep the feet together, lengthen through the top of the head, gently press into center, and we bow. Folks, thank you so much. You're doing ever so well. We are kind of addressing nitty-gritty stuff here, which I absolutely love. Hopefully it is useful to you as well. And wish you happy practice, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.